The Wests Tigers podcast is brought to you by the Wests Tigers Podcast Forum. Join the conversation today at weststigerspodcast.com.au.
Thanks for joining us for episode number 483 of the West Tigers podcast, right in the middle of the week, after the Canterbury game, before the Canberra game, and Mitch is here and Nick is here. And Nick, it is your birthday, so above and beyond, it is very much appreciated making this special appearance on your birthday night. I hope you're not getting into too much trouble from your wife.
No, not at all. I think she's quite happy to pump me off for an hour or so. I had a bit of time this afternoon after the kids came home from school with the family. So, we had dinner not too long ago. And it's a bit of downtime before they go to bed. Hopefully the boys will be in bed shortly. But, thought I'd join and talk a bit of West Tigers because we're going so good. Didn't want to be away from it.
Well, it is appreciated. Mitch, I'm sure you've been watching or listening to the pod. If you did, the Sunday night pod, just Nick and I. Josh is coming back from a bout of COVID, so hopefully he's back on the mend soon. It was a pretty pessimistic sort of pod, and I think that the West Tigers fan base, certainly on the weekend, was struggling. What were your impressions of what we saw out there and where things are at?
Yeah, g'day boys. Thanks for having me again. Happy birthday, Nick. You've made it through. I was a bit worried about you on Sunday. I think like everyone, I think I texted you, Joel, and said that the less spoken about Saturday, the better. I actually went through it. I watched the highlights again Sunday and I was still in the same sort of mood. Then I watched it again actually just this afternoon to see where we went wrong. And like you look at the score and the stats didn't actually read as bad as what it did, but as a fan, the body language in that first 10 minutes, you could just see we're going to go down the same old rabbit hole of the poor old Tigers, and just never felt like we're getting into the game. Like even sort of early on in the second half, we finally, I think they said it took 45 minutes to get to play the ball inside their 20. And it's just, we finally get some ball down there and our fifth place set, Dewey grubs it for himself and turns it over and then they're back down the other end. So it was definitely a tough watch. I had a couple of mates over watching and I threatened to turn the TV off, but we sat through it and, it's hard. It's definitely hard as a fan.
Highlights. They were obviously the Bulldogs highlights because I don't remember there being any West Tigers highlights.
Yeah, there was definitely few and far between of even the Tigers getting the ball in the 20-minute highlight package. But yeah, I think they'd get a good 60, 70 minutes of lowlights from the Tigers.
There's been times on the pod where I've spoken about West Tigers victories and it's looked good on the score sheet, but deep down inside the opposition hasn't really turned up. It's been a poor showing from, for example, a Gold Coast team. We've come up against a Gold Coast team that's just not on. They haven't travelled. We've won by 20. And I've sort of made the point in the past, it's probably not really a real reflection on where we are and where they are. They had an off day. We had an on day. Nick, in hindsight, now that we've sort of calmed down a little bit and we can look at it maybe a little bit more holistically or from a little slightly more healthy perspective and less emotional perspective, I don't know if it's necessarily a true reflection of where we're at as a football team.
That's a very interesting, if you want to call it a statement.
You can't be where we were earlier in the season and then be that poor. I mean,
it's a huge turnaround. It's a massive turnaround, and clearly, and it's been said many times, the confidence level 0 at the moment. And you can see it in the boys, like Mitch was just saying, in the first 5-10 minutes, even after the first 90 seconds, when the Bulldogs scored that first try, like their heads go down, and you can just see that there's a bit of lack of talk. I know Romeo was trying his best to get the boys pumped up and focus, but there's just an overall lack of confidence within the playing group. And it's shown like how poor have our starts been the last however many games. We're just we're not starting well. We're not completing sets, or we're in the case of last week against the Dogs, O'Sullivan kicked that 40-20 at the end of their first set. The momentum was instantly in the Dogs' favour, and then we're just weak out wide, and they ran around us and scored. But it's horrible. But yeah, and the commentators on Fox and the commentators on Nine have all referred to how well we started the season and how quickly it's turned, and no one saw this coming. And even as recent as a few weeks ago, some of the journos on NRL 360, I think it was Brent Reed, was saying he still believed the Tigers would make the 8, but we have not turned it around. So there's zero confidence into place. I think with all the Luai stuff that's gone on the last couple of weeks, and now that he's been told, he's going elsewhere, or he's definitely going elsewhere, he's off to Para next year, that you can't help but think that must have had some type of additional impact on the playing group as a whole.
Yeah, I would suggest, though, when I think about it, just listening to you there, Nick, I think that it might be less about what Luai is doing and more about the fact that we started out so well. And then, because, let's say that if I'm Sunia Taruva, for example, right? Yeah, it's sad that my friend's going, but I can understand he's got a young family. He's going to take that opportunity in PNG. You know what? It's the NRL. Players come and players go. It's not the end of the world. I think it's more about the losing confidence from watching the season slip away and some of the losses that we've had and not being able to, or I guess being shown up to maybe not be quite as good as what we thought we were. I think that's more it, Mitch, than around the Luai thing. The Luai thing's a nice, easy distraction. And I'm not saying it's a positive thing, but I don't think that's what's got us to this low point.
No, and I think earlier in the year, like we'd have periods in the earlier games that we actually won where as fans we're going, oh, what are we doing? Like we've got 60 good minutes and then we'll have a lull of 10 minutes. But then as the season's, like it's a long season, as the season's gone on, we're starting to see, we're playing a good 10 minutes, a bad 25 minutes. Like for example, like the Gold Coast game, our last win, we come out firing and then we had a lapse for 20 minutes and they put 24 points on us.
Yeah.
And I just thought that's season over there. But credit to us, we actually bounced back at Leichhardt, so we should. But our gap between our good and our bad just seems to slowly be widening. And now it's sort of like our gap between our bad and our horrible is starting to show itself. So it's been a shame. Like I'm trying to sort of take the positive side. Like if we'd lost 5 in a row at the start of the season and sort of had kicked on through the middle and then we're sort of dipping again now, would we be happy with 7 wins? Or like I'd look at the Dragons, their fan base. They've won 2 games and they're all up and about because, we've signed this, we've done this. But until they start winning, I don't know. It's a long season. And I like you said about the Luai thing, I know there's going to be, unless he's a real prick in the change rooms and is upsetting a lot of people, these blokes are rocking up to training to do a job and they should be professional. So, yeah, fingers crossed that we can find something in the last 6 or 7 weeks.
Joel, do you think we just simply overachieved in the first 2 months of the comp?
I think there's something in that. And I have gone on about it a few times on the pod about early season wins where we are sometimes playing teams that aren't quite, in the groove yet. And we got them on, the Cowboys game was a perfect example where we kind of got them on the jump where they come into the season on a real low. And it's not to take away our performance that day. It was really enjoyable, and it was it was a very good West Tigers performance. But I think if there's one thing that I've noticed about the West Tigers for a long time is that we do tend to start reading our headlines a little bit too quickly. We win 2 games and all of a sudden you just kind of feel like they get a little bit complacent, or they get, they feel like they've just reached this other level and it's just going to happen automatically now. And I think that's happened a lot of times. How many times have we been on a winning streak of a couple of games and then we've had a really poor performance? Which I think is, for want of a better term, a culture thing. I think that when I look at the current squad that we've got, I'm looking at it objectively, I don't know if we've got a lot of real footy heads in there. And what I mean is a lot of guys that have a lot of experience in winning teams, that know how to win, that know how to think their way through a game, that know how to, plot their moments. Appy is obviously one. Appy, though, he's hey, Nick, you would know, he's one of your best friends. He's a fun kind of guy. But I think we're kind of lacking a few of those real footy heads that know exactly what to do at the right times. And we are a little bit emotional and a little bit immature and a little bit, strangely enough, sometimes teams can become reflections of their coaches. And, Benji was brilliant one day and the next day you're like, oh my God, he's passing it into the grandstand. And we are a little bit like that. Mitch was sort of talking about, what we looked at our best compared to what we look at our worst. It's a yawning gap in between this, and even in some of those earlier season games, we saw that in a 20-minute period. So consistency is what you can build off, and we're still not consistent. I mean, we've been consistently bad, but we need to be consistently competitive before we can be really good. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily a true reflection on where the team is at, but in saying that, there has to be something through the last bit of this season. If things don't turn around, if we don't find some improvement, it's going to affect all sorts of things like memberships, confidence, recruitment, all sorts of stuff for next year. So, it's really very, very important time for the club.
And there's already been a few fans and people posting on our Facebook group saying they've unchecked the box to roll over their membership for next year. And I know I did that this time last year because I'd had enough.
Yeah.
Sure enough, during the off season, you get a little bit excited around Christmas time and you tick the box to renew again. But yeah, this is all very damaging, right? And like you say, if we lose the next 6 with the bye in between, it is not a very good way to end a very, very disappointing season.
Yeah. And I've spoken a bit before about it's not necessarily a healthy steam valve to let off, that the only way that the fans have got any sort of say on anything is to cancel their memberships. That's a huge problem for the club. But anyway, let's hope that we don't get there. Let's hope that they give us some reason to have some hope heading into next year. But Nick, it is kind of like an abusive relationship where you say then it's never going to happen again. They just had a bad day, but we've been in this bad relationship for a long time.
Very long time, Joel. We were just chatting about this before we jumped on. Between the two of us, we have not seen many finals series.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mitch, Jeral Skelton, he's a big... your attention gets drawn straight away to looking at that back line. I think we might have seen the end of Jeral Skelton. I'm very disappointed with where he has been in recent times. And it feels to me, a player that's off contract, I don't think Jeral's going to be with us much longer.
No, it doesn't look that way, which is it's sort of one of the things. He's got the build, the physique of a weapon on the edge. And I don't know, like he's obviously rocks and diamonds. He's a young player. I'll ask you boys, is he like he plays his best down the left edge this year against the Bulldogs? He got the couple of tries, and earlier in the year, I think he looked better on the left-hand side. Is he a victim of like the flip-flopping back line that we've had all year where he's starting on the bench, he might play, he might not play, he's not playing reserve grade at all, and then when he does come in, he might start on the wing, end up in the centres or on the right-hand side? Is he a victim of maybe not getting the stability?
I think a lot of players in our team are a victim of being shuffled around, especially in the backs.
100%, yeah.
I think you look at Taruva, he's a specialist winger and one of the best finishers in the game, but this season he's fallen way off the radar, especially the last 2/3 of the season. He started out pretty strong when we were playing well and scoring points, but then we started having issues with Taylor May and what's his name? One arm Tower as well.
So, yeah, the one arm man.
Yeah, correct. And then wingers were playing in the centres and centres were out in the wing and we're bringing in a few reserve grade players. And yeah, you're probably right, Mitch. It's probably got a fair bit to do with it. But yeah, I think there's probably a few that you can throw into the same bucket.
I mean, how can you build combinations as well with what we've had this year in terms of the backs? But with Skelton, I think the main thing is that this is today's game for wingers. You've got to be quick, and he's just not quick. And so if you're not impactful in other ways, like unless you've got a great jump, or you can do something else, you've got some other trick up your bag. If your only real claim to fame is being able to put on the occasional good hit, I mean, that's just not enough. And I think that Jeral might transition maybe into being a forward somewhere down the track, but I don't think it's going to be at West Tigers. And it's disappointing because I had high hopes for him. I thought he was going to be a good one.
Yeah, when we got Sorry, Nick. Yeah, when we got him from the Bulldogs, I had high hopes. We had a big outside back, looked strong.
Yeah.
But my disappointment was, like you mentioned, he's not a target with the crossfield kick. He's not that freakish guy that finishes outside the field and puts the ball down.
Yeah.
Ball down. He's good out of the backfield, but even watching the other day, he was sluggish coming out. We just looked tired, worn out. A bit like the fan base, I guess. But but yeah,
I know how you feel, Jeral. Yeah.
But it's a shame. But it's like a lot of players that come here. But like I said earlier, I feel for him because it's been flip flopped around, and I just hope that the young kids are better, and we're going to see a few of them this week.
Yeah, we'll see this week. And Joel, we've said many times, I'm pretty sure that Benji and the rest of the West Tigers coaching staff listened to the podcast because you were banging on about how slow we've been outside in the backs for quite a while now. And we've got Junior Tupu and Tino Tavana back on the wings. So be interesting to see how Junior goes, and Tavana as well. He had some moments early on in the season and not too many opportunities since then, but both quite quick, both a little bit different. So it'll be interesting to see what they can bring.
Well, Tino is, that's a good example of a couple of things. Like, if you remember how good he was in the try he scored in the trial game up in Newcastle, how good he was in the Warriors game, and then how poor he was in the Cronulla game. Like, that's young players, isn't it? And that's the West Tigers this year. The gap between Tino's best and his worst is immense. So hopefully, as he gets more experienced, he becomes more consistent. But he's got a bit of pace and a bit of class. What's really interesting is, just jumping ahead here, I don't know who's going to be our Rookie of the Year. I really don't know. I mean, everybody had Makasini, who only played one game last year, so I think he would have been eligible this year. I don't think Makasini's going to get it. Yeah. Maybe Haywood or Javon Andrews, maybe, or Tavana would be there. But Junior Tupu back. Of course, Junior's mostly reliable. I still have some nightmares under the high ball, but I wish him all the best and good to see him back in the team. But Taruva in the centres. Patrick Herbert, I don't know what Patrick Herbert has got that Solomon Sekuru doesn't have, but I think that's a bit of a strange selection, Nick. I feel a little bit sorry for Sekuru. I think he's earned his opportunity, and I'm not 100% sure what Patrick Herbert brings.
Apart from experience, I suppose.
A little bit of experience.
Yeah, I know Herbert had a couple of years out or a few years out before he came to us this year, but that's the only thing I can think is, we've made a switch in our wings, Junior and Tavana in, so Junior's not that young anymore, but Tavana is, so maybe a little bit of experience inside them with Taruva and Herbert playing in the centres. I'm glad Mussey's gone back for a rest, and we've been talking about that too. I think just for his own confidence, he needs to go back to Cup for a bit, but we'll see what happens. But
scored 4 tries in 4 games. Like, you can't be conservative. Yeah. What's the point? We're never going to win anything if we only be able to score 6 points a game.
Exactly right. And Solomon's, is he leading try scorer in New South Wales Cup? Yeah, and I know he's had a really good combination with Javon and also whoever else has been playing. I know Jock's been playing in the halves and Latu's been back there a little bit too, but he's been playing really well in Cup. Now, I'm not sure of the exact contract status. I did have a quick look on Zero Tackle. Solomon Sekuru is only contracted to this year, so I'm not sure what's happening next year. I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. I don't know if he's signed elsewhere or he's going elsewhere. Maybe Benji doesn't want to give him a run for some reason we don't know about, but it is a shame because he's playing well down in Cup.
The only thing I can think of, Mitch, is that maybe Benji's worried about him defensively, but I mean, hey, if we picked players that couldn't tackle, we'd be in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, I hope that there's something there that they're seeing that he's working on. Like, you see the good teams hold the younger players back and don't just throw them in for the sake of throwing them in. But it's not like he's a underdeveloped junior.
He's been around for a while.
And he's a solid-looking unit on the highlights I've been watching. But it has to be just because there's a couple of younger blokes either side of him. But I just think that they're actually winning some games in Cup. They're coming in without the scars that the top grade team have. Like Nick said, he plays next to Javon in Cup. Why not? What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Like, we put the kids in. we can see the glimmer of hope. And like I said earlier, that's what St George are doing. They're copping their licks, but their younger players are getting that experience.
Mm.
I'd much rather having Sakuru out there than a wounded centre that we have had out there in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and young players just aren't what they used to be. Like they just, let's get out there and let's rip in.
Mm. It's a young player's game.
Yeah, for sure. So it is a little bit bizarre, but yeah, maybe there is a reason. Maybe he's got a little niggle that we don't know about. But yeah, I'd definitely have him in.
I mean, the other side, you also could argue that if you're going to debut Javon, you'd want to have a couple of guys around him that he's familiar with, that he's been playing with all through the season, rather than trying to build combinations with, I don't think he's ever played with Sunia Taruva. I mean, yeah. But anyway, I'm not the coach, at least this week. Nick?
No, I was just going to say it's another conversation. Maybe we'll get to it soonish, but Javon, is he going to start?
Yeah.
Is he going to play?
Going to be my exact question. Have a look at the halves. What is going to happen there? There is some word that Luai might not be starting, that it might be Javon and it might be Adam Dewey, and Luai might not even play this week. So that's an interesting one. What are you going to do, Mitch, if you're Benji? Are you going to give the youngster a debut, get him straight in there, put him alongside either Luai or Dewey and have him start the match? Or do you go conservative? Do you put Dewey and Luai in and bring Javon on at some point in the game?
Well, I sort of go back to if Luai is the issue that everyone's sort of saying since that he's re-signed and there's a drama, like I can see he's putting in. Personally, I'd put the kid in. I'd just put him at 7 and say, there's the keys to the car. We've got backup on the bench. Whether I wouldn't shy. The only thing is they're both left footers, Luai and Javon.
Yeah, they're both left side.
Little bit awkward. They're NRL players. Surely they can work that out. And Appy can maybe weave some magic with his boot from dummy half. And does Dewey come on through the middle and try and spark something? I don't know. I'd just really like to see us, and hope that Benji's got a better plan than what I do, but put the kid in. Let's have a look. I want to see it. We've seen him in the trials. I thought he was great. He's a confident kid. He's big enough. He's playing junior reps. He's like, it's not like he's just a kid that's come from Group 6 Mittagong Lions or something like that and being dragged in. He's been around the club all year, and I can't see an issue. Put him in there. Which
makes me think, Nick, that Dewey will start on that right side, and if he gets a chance to start, it'll be on that left side in place of Luai.
I would have to think that Dewey's going to start. That's an interesting one though, because if Dewey comes in and Javon goes to the bench, like what happens with the bench? I can see you've got Jock there in number 19, so maybe Jock drops out if Javon stays on. Yeah. I think Javon adds more, just from what I've seen, and I'm purely going off the highlights packages, and I've watched a few minis from Cup as well. I don't have access to the full Cup games, but from what I've seen, he looks really good. He looks like he offers a bit more spark than what Jock does. Saying that, Jock also looks like he's been playing some pretty good footy, but it's different when you're playing in Cup. Like the game just is different.
Yeah, it's totally different. Yeah.
But I think like what Mitch is saying, Javon's he's a tall young fella. He's got a lot of skill. He's a real footballer, eyes up footballer. I'd love to see him get a crack. We're 6 weeks out from the end of our season. So if he's going to play, if Javon's going to play, and if he doesn't start, I want to see him at least try to get 20 minutes, like 20 solid minutes in. I don't want to see him come on for 6 or 7 minutes towards the end. That's not enough to give him a real taste of it. So I'd love to see him play.
We love to set up these sink or swim sort of situations, don't we, Mitch? It's kind of like, okay, here you go. You've never played NRL. Here you are, straight into the halves, and everybody's going to be watching, and we've got to win because the club's falling apart. So good luck.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. The only other thing I can sort of think of is like, if you name him at 7, all week you can go, you're in. Like it's when am I going to be on? What am I going to do? Like what Latu's had to deal with all year. It's like, am I going on in the halves? Am I going on at hooker? Am I going on lock? Just, mate, you're 7. You're running the team.
Yeah.
And we'll give you to the rest. Give him the confidence and say, look, you've got the rest of the season at it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's the other thing too. Putting these kids in, the fellas that have been out there all year that look flat and jaded, surely they can find something to spark to get around these kids to sort of, lay a platform. I know we'll get onto the game later on, but I think it's time the forwards aimed up a little bit more and started laying a platform for these, if he plays, for the young fella and for the halves.
Yeah, well, that's a very, very good point because, debuting in a team where your forward pack's got some ascendancy is totally different to seeing what we've seen at times with our forward pack this year, which has been, treading water. So, yeah, well, I'm going to be really interested to see how that goes, and I wish him all the best. And we've got a lot riding on this young man, and I hope he lives up to expectations. But there is a lot of pressure on him. But I think I agree with Mitch. I'd be saying to him, you're there for the rest of the year. Make the most of it. We want you to hit the off-season with 6 first-grade games under your belt and get ready for 2027 because invariably he's going to be part of the team next year, Nick. He's found himself in a position where NRL is right on his doorstep, and 2027, West Tigers are going to need him and Latu.
Yeah, but that sounds like the halves combination, Latu and Javon, but then you've got Adam Dewey. I still don't know what you do with him. I'm actually a little bit surprised. I know Dewey was originally out with that charge and now coming back in, but a little bit surprised that he wasn't potentially going to be a centre this week or even thought about for centres instead of maybe Pat Herbert. I know Dewey's played a bit of centres. I know he's quite stubborn, Dewey, and he's said that he's a halfback and he wants to play halfback. The thing with Dewey, and I know it's hard, right? And I can't judge. I haven't played rugby league, not anywhere near that level anyway, but he's been the half of our team the last few weeks and we've been struggling. We haven't had much creativity at all, but like Mitch was saying earlier, that little play that when we first got into the Bulldogs half last week, and he just put that little grubber in behind the line and turned the ball over. Like there was no team play in that. That was just Adam doing something for himself to try and kickstart something for the team. But I don't know. For me, he's not. Maybe I just want to see change. Maybe we just need something different. And like you said, last pod job, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over.
Well, we have to, because if you look at the stats, so the Raiders, they've won their last 3 games. Each time they've scored 24 points or more to win those 3 games. And we've scored, 12, 6, 6 and 0, I think it is from memory. So, we've got nothing to lose because if things run out anything like what they did last week, it's just, no wonder the Raiders are absolutely short price favourites. So we need to try something different. And this is where a coach needs to come up with something different.
So you just said the Raiders have scored 24 points or more in those games. We haven't scored 24 points in our last month.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Well, we are moving into, I guess, to that Raiders game preview. So, is there enough impact in the forwards and on the bench? I know we are down to slim pickings. We're struggling for numbers. Fanua starts. Terrell May, of course, is there. Samuela is there again. Ethan Roberts gets his first run on start in the number 12, and of course Alex Twal at lock. And then on the bench, I like having Sione back on the bench, and I like Bunty being there on the bench. I think that's the best you're going to get from Bunty, and Alex Seyfarth, of course, on the bench as well. The Raiders will be missing Hudson Young and a couple of others, but still, that forward pack, Mitch, it's... And again, if I go back earlier in the season, I thought there were times where our forward pack looked really good. We were making decent yardage. We were going okay, but now I look at them and I look at last week's performance, and that has me really worried that there's not anywhere near enough impact against this Canberra team.
Yeah, and going back to last week, some of the attack that the Bulldogs got threw at us and got points. It was block for a block and managed to get a 2-man overlap. This Canberra side's very fast.
Yeah.
Their forward pack is huge. And like you said, they're missing Owen Paddy and Hudson Young. They're the 2 positives I wrote down for the weekend's game. I just don't know where are our big kids that when we get down to this sort of number of players that we can just light a match under and just say, go as hard as you can for 10, 15 minutes. Because to me, Pole's that player off the bench. When we're full strength, we have the props, and then he just comes on, gives us that firebrand either side of half time, and then we get back into our work. We look so small on the bench. Is obviously Kit, will he come in onto the extended? Because our extended reserve's still online are Dewey, Makasini and Latu, and we know Latu's out. So surely there's a big bopper that's back there that's hiding that we don't know about that they might chuck in there because, we know that Canberra are going to grow a leg against us. They always do, especially down there. I think we're going to be up against it.
Yeah, we have Aaron Woods comes to mind, but in terms of West Tigers developing props, there's not many over the years that we've developed from in-house, have we? It seems to be a real glut. I mean, unless I'm missing something, Nick, any other names come to mind? But in terms of local homegrown props, geez, there hasn't been much since Aaron Woods. Obviously, Fanua Pole we've developed, but he's not a local junior.
Alex Seyfarth.
Alex Seyfarth is not a prop. He should be only playing in the middle, but he's not a prop.
Are we going back to Johnny Scandalis or
we're going back a long way there.
That's right. I just know that there's a lot of big Islander boys around the Campbelltown and around that area that I've been a speed hump for many years. I just don't know where they go. It's a real shame because, like we say, Terrell May's really, really good, but he needs a spell, and we just can't find that X factor for, we've got the back rowers, but that just says middles that can just bend the line consistently, do their job, get off, come back on and go again, because the game's just so fast now and we just look off the pace.
Yeah. And look, I think we've said it over and over again that recruitment for next year, there needs to be some additions to the front row, and I can't see them necessarily coming from within the club, so I don't know what sort of magic we're going to have to weave to fix that problem, but it's a huge problem.
I think there's enough there in our forward pack, especially the starting forward pack, to compete with Canberra. But the players have either got to get on the pickle juice or the angry pills before the game starts. Like you said, Joel.
Not Seyfarth. We don't need him on the angry pills. Don't give him any.
Maybe
it's a liability. Yeah.
Maybe he can take a half an angry pill just to get the levels up a little bit. But like you said, Joel, earlier in the season, we were dominating field position. We were making a lot more meters, and we were playing most of the game attacking teams within their red zone. And we can't get anywhere near there now. Now, you spoke about Terrell May, Mitch. He does look tired. And for me, he's slowed down. He's almost lumbering. Yeah. He still makes meters, but it's slower. And it's obviously, I think, got a lot to do with the amount of minutes he's been playing over the last couple of years. It's been too many, and he's been carrying the pack, especially last year. And right now, he's not very effective. For me, he's not very effective.
And maybe it's a body language thing, Nick. Sorry to cut you off, but he's gone from Timu Terminator, where he actually looked big and strong and imposing, to he's just kind of looks like the big fat kid out there now. He looks like the guy.
I'll let you say that to him.
Yeah, but when you watch a junior football team and there's one kid up the front that's 20 kilos heavier than everybody else.
He's not your big muscly prop.
No,
he's not your
seemed to be last year. Maybe it was the way he was playing.
He's not built the same way as a Fanua Pole or someone like that. He's not your big muscly guy. I think he's probably naturally just a little bit heavier. I'm not sure what he's like in the gym. I'd say he's probably naturally quite thick and quite big. He's big and tall anyway, and he's probably naturally quite strong, but he's not ripped. Maybe that's something that needs to be worked on in the off season, because I think if he can get onto the
Alex Twal workout program,
yes, if he can shred down a little bit and bulk up, probably a bit like what Royce Hunt did during the off season when he stripped down the weight and added on some bulk, maybe he can be a bit more effective that way. But look, the forwards have to come out firing. They have to come out firing, because if they don't match it with the Raiders in the forwards, that we're going to be no chance. So I think it's going to be beneficial for us that Uppy's starting this week. I know he came off the bench, and I was excited to see how Hayward would handle it. Probably not quite ready yet in that number 9 jersey, but Uppy will be there. On paper, we don't look that bad. but we haven't been playing well. We've spoken about confidence. It's in the toilet at the moment. But if the forwards can come out firing, if Twally can harness some of that anger that he carried out of the end of the Bulldogs game and bring that in to the Raiders game, then we've just got to come out and start well and then see what happens. But it's going to be an uphill battle, I think, against the Raiders.
It's certainly going to be a hard road trip, Mitch.
Oh, yep.
We don't have the greatest track record down there. I think it was 42% or something like that. We've won a few games down there, but mostly it's been an unhappy hunting ground for the West Tigers. But with Canberra finding some form, I don't know how we're going to be able to do this.
Yeah, no, you look on the ladder and they're only a win above us and you think, oh, we're half a sniff here, but they're going the other way. They're 3 in a row. We're whatever we are in a row the other way.
Lots.
Yeah, it says 5, but I wonder if they just cut it off at 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we said, it's a tough road trip when you've got a full squad for anyone to go down there, let alone you're getting beaten up in the media. Apparently there's a rift in the club. You're fighting everything else. It's just so hard to keep everything in-house. It was good to hear Dewey come out through the week and just say that, look, all the stuff with Luai was we didn't hear it drip fed through the media. It was all in the club, and that's great. And I hope that all this is true, and it's just the hot noise because they want stories, because the Tigers, like us Tigers fans, go off our heads when we're losing. I'll be making the trip up this weekend. I've got about 20 family members going up. I haven't been to Canberra to watch the Tigers since the snow game.
Right.
Yeah, wow.
And I think I was 8.
Yeah.
I was there.
You were there?
I was drinking beers.
Yeah, it makes me feel old because I drove to that game. Yeah.
Yeah, I might have been drinking beers. I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, really looking forward to it. We may have booked it a little bit early. We probably organised it 8 weeks ago with a little bit.
Yeah,
we've got a couple of Raiders family friends coming as well. So yeah, we might be back down at the pub by half time. So we'll see what happens. But I'm actually looking forward to it. I enjoy going to Canberra to watch the footy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I might have to pack the boots.
Yeah, exactly right. You never know. It could be a late call up. They've scored 379 points this year, 355 for us. So not a huge difference in between. And they've had some patches where they've struggled, but they've conceded 460. We've conceded 517. Overall, the Raiders, they have a 59% winning record at GIO Stadium. Like, that's not just against us, it's against everybody. That's a very, very good winning percentage, given that they've had some lean years along the way. They've consistently been very difficult to beat down there. I've had different memories of going to GIO Stadium, good ones, bad ones. One from way back in the early days, 1993, when Balmain went down there against a red-hot Canberra team, Mal Meninga and Laurie Daly and Ricky Stewart, and we had a 32-all draw. Graham Lyons scored in the last couple of minutes, and we missed the goal to win it. Tim Brasher, I think it was, missed the goal.
I think he actually kicked the goal to make it 32-30. I remember it on the.
You weren't even born then.
I was 2, right. And I used to watch
it vividly.
Watch it on the Winfield Cup Magic Memories videos. That's what we lived on when we were children. That was probably the last decent memory we sort of had.
I was there that day. Lots of memories around that game, but yes, that's a long time ago. I didn't drive to that game. It was before I could drive. All right. Any predictions? I'm predicting it has to be another Mr. T prediction, predicting pain. I can't see it any other way. If you take your black and orange and white glasses off, nobody's going to tip us to winning Canberra this week, Nick.
No, there might be some. I'd like to think that there's some optimism. So I'm looking forward to hearing what Mitch says. I'm along the same lines as you, Joel. I'm going to predict some pain. I'm going to go. It's horrible. I'm going to go all afternoon. I've been thinking 60-0. I've been thinking 60
for your 60th birthday. That makes sense.
Well, not quite. That's another 10 years away. No, I did turn 50 today. Would you believe it? But Yeah, look, last week was bad enough, 32-0. I hope we can score some points. I hope we can be competitive. I really, really do. I have no idea what the attitude's going to be like. I'm sure they're going to come out and try, but I think they're just a bit disjointed at the moment, the club. So that cohesion is going to be very important if we're going to compete with the Raiders. But I cannot see us winning. I hope we can get close, but I can't see it.
Well, we're going to need to score some tries. So if you can't score tries, forget about it. You can defend all day, but you know you're not going to win too many games if you can't score.
Maybe we should just try and get down the other end and kick a field goal. Just get 1-0
just
up.
kick field goals every time. Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah.
Beaten a few teams like that in my time. But if it looks like it's going to be 60-0, I'll tell the 20 people that I'm going with to jump the fence and we'll just riot and get the game called off or something like that.
Yeah.
But my prediction, I'm not going to predict the win. I'm hoping that we can sort of stick with them for 60 minutes, but I still think it'll be something like 42-16. I'm hoping we can score 16. I want to be able to cheer something, but I can't see us holding on to them. But like I said, I wrote down earlier, and like you guys mentioned it, and we've all sort of mentioned it, it's not the losing that hurts, it's how we're losing. And honestly, you could have turned it off last week after 10 minutes knowing the result.
Yeah.
If they put up a fight for 60 minutes and are getting in front and they're just like showing the line speed, the basic fundamentals that
energy,
line speed, running fast, and they get a few late, so be it. But 42-16, I'll take that today.
I think a big thing, Joel, with the Raiders, obviously they had a huge season last year and probably should have done more in the finals than what they did after winning minor premiership. And obviously this season, very, very disappointed. I'm sure they're all quite disappointed with where they're sitting on the ladder. But like you said as well, they've won 3 of their last 5. And what Ricky's really good at is getting his players up and getting the most out of his players. So I know they've been in a lull for the majority of the year, and they lost Jamal Fogarty at the end of last year, and I think he was a big reason why they've probably gone backwards a little
100%. You can't lose your halfback and just continue on.
Correct, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ricky's challenged the boys in the last 5 or 6 weeks, or maybe last month, and said, you know what, we can still play finals, but it's up to you boys. You've got to go out there and have a crack.
Yeah.
So they're climbing. We're sitting very stagnant. I think we've had a bit of stage fright after our start. And like you said earlier, reading the headlines and probably getting a bit caught up in it all. And we know Romy loves his social media, and I think all the boys in the team are probably watching Romy's stuff as well. But yeah, the Raiders are going the other way. They'll be pumped. And like we said as well, they were pretty peed off after we all did the Viking clap when we beat them at Leichhardt, which I was at that game and did enjoy doing the Viking clap, mind you. It was good fun. But they'll have a point to prove on Saturday afternoon at GIO. So pain could be the ultimate word there. Yeah.
But they are your second team, apparently. So
I do like the Raiders. Not that much, but yeah, I've got a soft spot for them.
You're not on the Canberra Raiders podcast as well. Like, you don't.
I can't fit them into my life, Joel. No.
Oh, okay, right.
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Not at the moment.
Well, go and enjoy the rest of your birthday. And Mitch, good to see you again. And enjoy and have a safe trip to Canberra. And hopefully it's enjoyable.
No, thanks, guys. Nick, have a good birthday. And yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. We're staying up there tonight, so I won't have to drive home. So
good stuff.
Nice.
We'll see how we go.
Enjoy, Mitch. Good luck, mate.
Good on you, boys. Thank you for that.
Thanks everybody. Joel. And don't forget to join in the conversation. Have your say on the West Tigers podcast forum, or if you're watching on YouTube, lots of comments on last week's video, which was fantastic. So keep them coming through. And we do like the ones where you don't agree with us. It was very good. Nick?
Up the Tigers. And yes, thank you for all those comments, especially those negative ones. It gives us something to talk about. So much appreciated. Cheers.
Thanks everybody.